people in the place to be. What's going on? It's me. Let's get to it. Wrestling with Regret time. The Reign of Terror. They're going to discuss the Reign of Terror. Any wrestling fan who's seen, who was watching wrestling around 2002, 2003 knows what the Reign of Terror is. It's Triple H burying everybody on fucking Raw, making it unwatchable. Starts right now. I like this theme song. Intro looks great too.
Yes, folks, this week we're talking about Triple H's run as World Heavyweight Champion from 2002 through 2005 on Raw, the era that is lovingly referred to by fans as the Reign of Terror. It has become the starting point for all the memes and jokes and online chatter about how Triple H is a burying machine. Never before has a heel champion been made to look so dominant. Never before have challengers to the brass ring been made to look so incompetent. And never since has one man caused the stallings or outright deaths of so many careers.
How he stopped on incompetent.
One guy since, but that's a story for another time.
Showing Scott Steiner,
most wrestling fans
really
look back
did
at this time period with utter disdain. But was it really all that bad? Yeah, it totally was. Why do you think I'm here talking about it? Our story begins in the summer of 2002. Brock Lesnar had just defeated The Rock at SummerSlam for the Undisputed Championship. With the brand split in its infancy, the champion had been hopping around between Raw and SmackDown up until this point. But in an effort to create more of a distinction between the two brands, it was decided to split the titles once again. Lesnar became SmackDown exclusive, and Triple H, left all alone on Raw as the #1 contender, was awarded the previously retired World Heavyweight Championship. It's at this point we no longer refer to the weekly Monday Night Wrestling show as Raw, but rather Raw. Because in a nutshell, that's really the best way to describe this show from here on out. H's first test as champion came in the form of Rob Van Dam, the most popular guy to come out of the Invasion angle the year before. A surefire star and a mega babyface on the company's flagship show, it only made sense to put the belt on him, right?
Nope.
Triple H would go on to defeat Rob Van Dam at Unforgiven and also signaled the beginning of the long and illustrious partnership between Helmsley and Ric Flair. Yes, it was the pairing of a lifetime. Triple H, the Game, and Ric Flair, the dirtiest player in the... Oh God, I just realized that. If you thought RVD's one-and-done shot at the belt was atrocious, get ready, because this is just the beginning. Yes, we have a pretty extensive list of opponents and rivalries to go through.
Everybody on the roster. Everybody on the roster.
Oh God, no. Jesus, this already? Up next in Triple H's crosshairs was Kane, the Intercontinental Champion. A match was signed pitting the two against each other at No Mercy, in which both titles were on the line. Those kind of stakes alone made the match interesting, until Triple H dropped a bombshell.
Let me ask you a question, Kane!
By the way, at this point, the IC belt had absorbed all the other belts.
Yeah, that's right. I know, Kane. I know it all. 10 years ago, you killed her. That's right, Kane. You are a murderer.
Now,
as soon as he said it,
the storyline is very difficult to talk about, not just because of the subject matter.
You knew it was shit as soon as he said it.
Also because of the fact that WWE has done everything in its power to remove the storyline from its history, from its canon. It makes it very difficult to find footage online to back up what I'm saying. So, I guess in the interest of simplicity, I'm going to sum up this storyline for you in one image.
No!
Here are the cliff notes. Triple H revealed that Kane had a girlfriend named Katie Vick, who died in a car crash in which Kane was behind the wheel, accused Kane of having sex with her corpse, and further illustrated the point by shooting a skit in which Triple H, wearing a Kane mask, took his pants off and screwed a mannequin in a casket. This was by far one of the stupidest, the most offensive things WWE has ever done or ever will do, okay? I watched this segment live on Raw, and
Me
I was
too.
so disgusted by it. It was one of the few times, as a wrestling fan, I've ever turned off the television
I still
upon
didn't
seeing
turn
this,
it
and
off.
I sat through this.
I really wanted to do it.
Now, ignoring the fact that this entire storyline retconned everything we've known about Kane up to this point, for a burial so brutal, you would think that Kane would rise up to the challenge, defeat Triple H for the belt, and expose him for being such a jerk, right?
Nope.
Of course not. Triple H defeated Kane handily, retained the world title, absorbed the Intercontinental title, and made Kane look like a complete and total chode. And with the hardcore and European titles retired earlier in the year, that meant that Raw only had one champion,
That's right.
Triple H, and nobody else.
Don't forget the tag team champions.
And nobody else. The Vic angle was so tasteless, even by WWE standards, that it was quickly dropped thereafter. And thankfully, the company has had the presence of mind to never bring this storyline up again.
Years ago, I had a girlfriend named Katie, but let's just say that didn't turn out so well.
Wow.
Let's fast
glad I
forward a
didn't
bit
see that.
here. The next month of Survivor Series, Triple H dropped the belt to Shawn Michaels, got it back less than a month later, feuded with a debuting Scott Steiner in pose-offs and a pair of awful matches, which surprisingly weren't Triple H's fault in any way. And
He
went
was
into
injured.
WrestleMania 19, feuding
fair.
with Booker T. Booker was a fast-rising star on Raw. The fans couldn't get enough of his personality, which was highlighted during his tag team run with Goldust the previous year. Booker's story was being told in a rags to riches format, as they brought up Booker's criminal past as a teenager and his road to redemption. The story was tailor-made for a championship victory at WrestleMania. But did it go that way?
Nope.
I'll give it a rest, Ambrose. Before we get to the match itself, let's talk about the build-up. Listen to this gem by Helmsley.
You see, the fact is, Booker,
People like you.
somebody like you doesn't get to be a world champion.
Because of course they did, Triple H pulled the race card to get heat against Booker T. I'm not surprised because, hey, once you've gone the necrophilia route, everything else is tame in comparison, right? I mean, it's like, say you got shot, okay? And then you go to the hospital, they patch you up, you're all better, then you walk out of the hospital and you're immediately stabbed. You know, then you think to yourself, well, hey, it could be worse, at least I didn't get shot again. Oh, but that's not even the best part of this madness. Here's the finish to their WrestleMania match.
Oh, the world's champion. Hit this.
After taking
Okay,
the
Triple H,
axe
the
kick
pedigree,
and a Harlem
Stevie Wonder, I'll
hangover.
be right back. Just a minute.
A Harlem hangover that has basically been retired since WCW.
Mark of a true champion, JR, when you can reach deep down in times of doubt.
Okay, all right. We are
See
back.
how long
And,
after that
I'm glad
pedigree?
that spot came up because, boy, I was really in the mood for a nosh.
Pedigree. I think Nature's going to have a stroke. He's got the hand on it. And it's over. It's over.
It took nearly 30 seconds for Triple H to pin Booker T after hitting him with the pedigree. Wrestling 101
Yep.
dictates that if you take that long to pin a guy after hitting your
Yep.
finisher, the opponent will almost always kick out. But if you've been paying any attention so far, wrestling logic often flew out the window during this time period. In 1 month, Booker T went from a potential rags to riches success story main eventer to racist joke fodder whose central nervous system had imploded due to the almighty pedigree.
By the way, after
Fast
beating The
forward
Rock
Triple
to
H
get number one
played spring of
signature.
2003, feuding with his bestie Kevin Nash in a pair of matches so forgettable they had to throw Mick Foley in as a ref for one of them to make it interesting. Then he spent the rest of that year feuding with Goldberg for the title. Let's see now, how did that one go again? Right. The internet creamed its collective genes at WrestleMania 20 when Chris Benoit defeated Triple H and Shawn Michaels in an awesome triple threat match, creating an unforgettable moment. That's not the right match. What happened? Did WWE record over that match with different wrestlers in the same spots at a different WrestleMania? Benoit managed to hold on to the belt for several months, even if his reign was mostly forgettable.
It really
In a
kind of
precursor to
was.
the CM
For
Punk
no
days,
reason.
Benoit was rarely the primary focus of Raw, despite being its champion, and he wasn't always in the main event. His
For no
only one-on-one
reason.
match with Triple H was at Vengeance, where he got an assist from Eugene. Yeah, that looks great in a resume. Benoit dropped the championship to Randy Orton at SummerSlam 2004. It was Orton's first world title, and it created an interesting dynamic, since Orton was Triple H's running buddy in Evolution. Now, everybody knew that Orton and Triple H would eventually square off for the championship, but the interesting thing was, how would that story play out? Would Orton's time in the main event slowly eat away at Triple H? Would there be dissension in the ranks of Evolution, leading up to a huge blow-off match at WrestleMania? Just how
That's
would
what they
advance
wanted.
this unique storyline one night after Orton's win?
I was at the Mania 21 press conference in LA. They featured Randy Orton. They wanted it to be Orton.
Oh. Forget necrophilia. Forget racism. This is one of the worst things WWE ever did. Talk about blowing a surefire, money-making angle with Orton breaking away from the group after a slow
It wasn't
run,
surefire.
becoming Raw's #1 good guy, and sticking it to Triple H.
A lot of people weren't sure Orton
Instead,
was ready.
Orton got curb stomped at Unforgiven the following month, and he continued to lose to Triple H in embarrassing fashion for the rest of the year. The brand split, making new stars one loss to Triple H at a time. WWE fans finally got the payoff they wanted at WrestleMania 21, although instead of Orton being the guy to break rank and knock Triple H off his perch, it was Batista, whose
Batista's
rise to
more popular.
prominence only came about after the company botched Orton's main event push so badly. Batista not only beat Triple H for the belt at WrestleMania, but defended it successfully against him twice in a row. Even though Triple H would go on to win the WWE or World title a few more times after this, Batista's rise officially put an end to the Reign of Terror. And that's where we end this sordid saga. God, this was a rough time to be a wrestling fan. There have been some boring long-term championship reigns, but none have been as frustrating to watch as Triple H from 2002 to 2005. It was laughably one-sided and predictable.
Yeah.
Triple H would put an opponent down or delegitimize them, and then he would beat them, making him right. And the worst part is, in nearly all of his rivalries, the good guy never got his heat back. Kane, Booker
Right.
T, Rob Van Dam, Scott Steiner, Goldberg. Everyone was left in Triple H's dust and forced to stay there. Those who eventually won world titles like RVD and Booker T only did it years after their feud with Helmsley, and by that point the magic was long gone. In
Except
my
for
opinion,
RVD.
Orton was by far the biggest victim of the Reign of Terror. He was primed to become the future of the company, only to have the rug pulled out from under him with a lackluster face turn and an abysmal run against Triple H. In fact, I believe that if the cards fell differently, Randy Orton would be the #1 guy in WWE today to John Cena, and not the other way around. That's how badly they screwed up the storyline. The key to any good feud or rivalry is that at the end, no matter who wins or loses the final battle, both guys get elevated. And with the exception of Shawn Michaels, who didn't need
If you
Triple
do
H
it
to be
right.
good, that never happened. A lengthy run with the world title can be okay, but not when pose downs, corpse humping, and racism make up the bulk of your storylines. Think of what SmackDown was doing at this time, okay? You had Paul Heyman as the booker.
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar was the champion,
Oh.
having a really good, convincing face turn. They had the friggin' SmackDown 6, okay?
Mhm.
They also had Mr. America, but that's still light years ahead of Katie Vick. There's
Yeah.
no question that Triple H's marriage to Stephanie McMahon played a role in how strongly he was booked, but it's hard to tell just how much of an impact it actually made. It's easy to point to this as the sole reason why he became the most dominant wrestler of the decade next to Cena, but I think there has to be more to it than that. Triple H was already a main eventer before his marriage, and I think he would have stayed there for a long time, even if he weren't married to the boss's daughter. Now, in no way am I alleging that Triple H went out of his way to marry into the family to get a push, but you can't deny that his connection to the McMahons will forever tarnish his legacy as a
That's been-
true
that's been
main
questioned
eventer, and that's
largely.
why this period of time was so bad to watch. Fortunately, fans won't have to worry about another McMahon getting pushed to the moon for another, 20 years or so once Triple H and Stephanie's kids grow up. And for that, I am extremely thankful. I'm Brian Zane, and I'll see you next time.
It's interesting to think that Triple H is now in charge of NXT, and NXT is being lauded as the greatest thing in American wrestling by a lot of people who don't necessarily watch the other brands, and one of the greatest by people who do. It's almost like he did all that terrible booking and shit years before, got it out of his system in 02 and 03, in order so that when he did take over, now, almost 15 years later, now he knows what he's doing. Now he knows how to push people. Now he knows how to get people over. Now he knows how to create angles that gets everybody over. And I've heard people defend that era, like wrestlers defend that era. They'll say the same old shit like, "Oh, you just sound like a smart." No, come on. Like, it was shit. It was terrible fucking fucking booking, and like my boy here said, like Zayn said, on the other side of the coin, SmackDown was blowing it up. SmackDown was, they kept promoting it as must-see TV against NBC, but it was fucking appointment television. Even if the storylines are sometimes off the mark during that era, the matches, for the most part, were out of this fucking world. I made sure to stay up to watch fucking Velocity. That's how good the SmackDown side of it was. Versus the Raw side, man, I watched it, but I hated it. It was like taking your medicine. It was like eating your fucking Brussels sprouts. I hated watching it. I did because I was interested in wrestling and I wanted to be a part of it, and that's what I wanted to do and all that stuff. But man, it was brutal. It was fucking brutal to have to sit and watch it. Meanwhile, I demanded to fucking watch SmackDown and Velocity. I paid to watch NWA. Meanwhile, Raw was a fucking chore, and it really was all there. You know, anybody who's still defending that era and defending Triple H's booking segments are just being assholes. Like, they're just doing it just to be contrary. Like, there's no fucking defense for any of the shit he did. Any of the shit that was booked in, there was no fucking defense. Especially when he had a roster full of talent that could have helped him, that could have helped carry that load and made Raw watchable. You had Rob Van Dam, Chris Jericho, Jeff Hardy when he was there mentally, the Big Show. You had a roster full of guys that could fucking deliver if they were allowed to deliver, but you could tell they weren't allowed to deliver, and you could tell why they weren't allowed to. I like this one. Brian Zane, I've been wanting to watch this one, and now I kind of have an excuse because I was sitting here taping something else anyway, and I decided, fuck it, I'm going to watch and take this. Party people, tell me what you think about this. Tell me what you think about his perception of the Reign of Terror, my perception of the Reign of Terror. Do you call it the Reign of Terror? Are you defending Triple H's decisions then? Because they really were mostly Triple H's decisions. Then Triple H was in the ear of Vince quite a bit because he was nibbling on the ear, Stephanie. Like, you could talk, you could say, oh, we didn't know, but come the fuck on. Like, everybody fucking knew. Like, it was on fucking stage every fucking week. Are you a defendant of that era? And how do you defend that era? I want to know how you defend that era. Down there in the comment section. Also like, share, subscribe to 2 Drink Minimum. You know what to do. Follow it. Instagram it, retweet it if you wanna. I don't give a crap. Alright? YouTube.com/Surreal469. Alright? Go over, there's a little blue button. It's about as small as your Johnson. Little blue button, go ahead and click it. And you'll be supporting the channel. Why? Because this channel is that damn. I can't even do it. Now I have a bad taste about Triple H in my mouth after watching that again. I gotta wash Triple H off. Yeah, click the button. We'll get the fuck out of here. It tastes like Katie Thick.
Suplex City, bitch. Suplex City, bitch. Suplex City, bitch. Suplex City, bitch.